Okay, so in the previous video, in the previous section, we talked about factoring using the box method or product sum method. What I want to do is I want to look at this expression and factor this one out. And when I look at it, notice that it's not a quadratic first off, and I have to try to see what's the greatest common thing that goes into all these terms. So if I look at this, it looks like it's an x squared. X squared is the greatest common factor. So I'm taking out an x squared because 2 doesn't go in all those terms. So when I look at this, I end up with 2x squared minus 21x plus 40. Okay? So in this case now, I want to factor out 2x squared minus 21x plus 40. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take a and multiply by c, just like what we did before. So 2 times 40 gets me 80. Now I want to figure out everything that gets me a product of 80. So I have 2 and 40. Now, when I'm doing this, guys, now I'm going to try to find out the sum that's equal to negative 21. And because that's negative, I know that both those have to be negative. Because this is positive, the only way that I can get a product that's positive and a sum that's negative is when both the numbers are negative. So I got negative 42, negative 4, and 20. What happens? Negative 20. I get negative 24. Negative 5, and I think negative 16 gets me it. That's the one right there. I get negative 21 to be my sum. So what I want to do is plug this into my box. So I have 2x squared. That's what ax squared is. Plus 40 goes in the lower right-hand corner. And what I'm going to put into these boxes is negative 5x and negative 16x. Because if I add those two together, I'm getting the negative 21 that I'm looking for. If you guys remember, what do? We factor out find out the greatest common factor for each corner of the box. So I'm looking at 2x squared and negative 16x. 2 goes into both of them. They both have an x, so I'm going to take out a 2x. I have a negative 5x plus 40. What goes into negative 5 and 40? Well, it looks like it's a 5. And because the leading term is a negative, I'm going to take out a negative 5. And then I'm looking at 2x squared and negative 5x. X is the greatest common thing that goes between those two. What goes into negative 16 and 40? Well, it's going to be a negative number because it's a leading term that's negative. And I think 8's the greatest common factor between negative 16 and 40. So my factored out form is 2x minus 5 and x minus 8. Okay, let's do one more example here. So let's look at this one right here. We have 14p to the third plus 82p squared plus 60p. First thing I notice when I look at this is that they all have a variable. So p is the smallest number of variables that we have, so I'm going to take out a p. So right now I have p, I have 14p squared plus 82p plus 60. Now I'm thinking to myself, is there any number that goes into 14, 82, and 60? And I think 2 is the greatest common thing that goes into all of them. So what happens is I end up with 2p, because I took out a 2 and put it in front of the parentheses. I end up with 7p squared plus 41p plus 30. Okay, so we're going to approach this the same way we did the last one. Product sum, I'm going to take a times c. 7 times 30 gets me 210. Now I want to figure out everything in the whole wide world that gets me 210, but a sum, in this case, of 41. So 210. Well, that's going to be 1 and 210. That's not going to work because that's 211. How about 2? 2 and, gosh, 105. That gets me a sum of 107. I'm getting closer. Not quite there yet. 3. 3 divided by 210 is 70. So that gets me 73. Getting closer and closer and closer, but not there yet. 4. No, 5. Let's see what happens when I do 5. 210 divided by 5 gets me 42. That's going to get me 47. I'm almost there. How about 6? 6. Does 6 go into 210? 35 times. So that's getting me the sum I'm looking for of 41. Remember, we're trying to get the sum equal to the middle term. So I'm going to make my box, put my a term in the upper left-hand corner. So I got 7p squared. My c term in the lower, so I have 30. And then I'm going to put 6x, or 6p in this case, 35p in the upper right-hand corner. It does not matter what order I put those in, but it's going to work work out. Now we're going to factor out the greatest common factor. So I'm looking at 7p squared and 35p. 7 goes into 7p squared and 35, so I have 7p. What goes into 6p and 30 is 6. So I have 7p plus 6. What goes into 7p squared and p is a p. What goes into 35p and 30 is 5. Is the greatest common thing. So what happens is I end up with 7p plus 6, p plus 5. That's the factored out form. Hopefully this helps you guys with the next few examples. I encourage you guys to try them. We'll talk about them in a second.